Two sisters sat cross-legged on their beanbags, completely absorbed in their game. The clock on the wall read 11:47 p.m., but neither of them cared. Sleep was irrelevant. The game was everything. Sarah squinted at her screen, her fingers tapping frantically across the keyboard, trying to keep up with the action unfolding in Diamond Mountains. Beside her, Monica sat with an almost eerie calm, her fingers moving with practiced precision, like a pianist performing a piece she had memorized long ago. Monica's character on screen was blazing through enemies, dodging attacks, and racking up points at a pace that made Sarah feel slightly sick.
Okay.
Sarah muttered under her breath, leaning forward like the extra 3 inches might somehow help her react faster.
I almost had that one.
Almost doesn't count. You got lucky with that last power move. That was a total fluke.
Monica finally looked over, one eyebrow raised, the tiniest smile tugging at the corner of her mouth.
Luck. Sarah, luck has absolutely nothing to do with what just happened. That was pure, refined, practiced skill. There is a difference. Yeah, sure it is.
Sarah slumped back in her beanbag.
Must be nice to be naturally good at everything. It's not natural. I put in the time. I study the game. I know every character, every ability, every map, every pattern. You could do the same if you actually committed.
Sarah opened her mouth to fire something back, then closed it. Monica wasn't wrong. And that was the most annoying thing about her. She was almost never wrong. Monica was 2 years older than Sarah, and in those 2 years, it seemed like she had collected every possible advantage. Better grades without appearing to study, a social life that seemed effortless, and complete and total domination in every game they ever played together. After all, she was Monica, my sister, always shining, acing tests, grabbing the spotlight, unbeatable in every game we ever played. And me? I was just Sarah. Plain, average Sarah. I wasn't bad at things. I just wasn't remarkable at them either. I existed in that frustrating middle space where nobody noticed you because you weren't failing and you weren't excelling. You were simply there. I just wish that you could actually be inside the game for once. Really inside it. See how you handle things when it's not just clicking buttons.
I'm almost done with this part. If I were actually inside Diamond Mountains, I'd still win. Probably faster, actually. Without the lag. You're so full of yourself. I prefer the term confident. But honestly, that would be something. Being actually in the kingdom of life. Walking through those landscapes. Meeting the characters. You'd probably find a way to speedrun escaping the game world too, obviously. And I'd do it in record time.
They played for another hour before Monica declared she was done for the night, snapping her laptop shut and padding off to her room in her favorite fuzzy slippers. Sarah stayed up a little longer, wandering through the lower-level maps of Diamond Mountains alone, exploring corners she hadn't seen before, reading the little scraps of lore text that popped up when you examined objects in the environment. She liked doing that. Monica always skipped those parts, calling them a waste of time. But Sarah found something comforting about them. Little pieces of a world that someone had cared enough to build. Eventually, the tiredness caught up with her, and she closed the laptop. The room went completely dark. Morning arrived the way bad mornings always do. Too quickly. And too loudly. Sarah's internal clock jolted her awake at what felt like an unreasonable hour, and for a moment, she lay there in the gray morning light, trying to remember what day it was. School day. Right. She waited for the sound of Monica's alarm going off down the hall, the one with the aggressively cheerful ringtone that Monica had somehow slept through every single day since she downloaded it. Usually, Sarah would wait, groan, then eventually drag herself out of bed and knock on Monica's door. But the alarm never went off. Sarah sat up slowly,
beep,
The house
beep,
felt oddly quiet,
beep, beep,
not the
beep.
comfortable quiet of early morning, but something heavier.
I
She
can't
checked her
believe
phone.
this.
They were going to be late.
Monica, come on! We are gonna be late.
She shuffled down the hall and pushed open
Monica?
Monica's bedroom door. The room
coming in.
was empty. Not just empty in the sense that Monica wasn't in bed. The bed was made, which was unusual. And there was no sign that Monica had gotten up and wandered to the bathroom or the kitchen. The room had that specific stillness of a space where no one had been for a while.
Monica?
She stepped inside. Everything looked normal at first glance. The desk, the shelves of books and little ceramic figures
What?
Monica collected,
This isn't just a
the
figurine.
window with the curtains half open, letting in a strip of pale morning light. But
I
then
don't know if I
Sarah
can do
noticed
this.
something odd. Monica's slippers. They were sitting
okay?
right in front of her laptop,
Just having
not
some
beside
trouble.
the bed where she always left them, not kicked off somewhere random the way shoes usually ended up. They were placed neatly, precisely, directly in front of the closed laptop,
I'm so
toes
tired. I
pointing
wish I could
toward
just
it,
magically
as if
finish
Monica
this.
had been sitting at the desk and then simply stopped existing.
Okay, very funny. You're trying to make me think you fell into the game.
She said it lightly,
Oh, that's
almost
just a joke,
laughed,
right?
because it was the kind of ridiculous joke that Monica
wait,
absolutely
did she?
would pull. Sarah waited for Monica to pop out of the closet or from behind the door. Nothing.
Monica, come on. We're gonna be late.
Still nothing. Sarah stood there in the doorway for a long moment,
God,
looking
I
at
don't
the
know if I can do
slippers,
this tonight.
looking at the
Put
laptop,
them on and work on
feeling
it, but
something
I
she
can't.
couldn't quite name
Not
building
tonight.
in her chest.
Mama?
Then, almost without deciding to, she walked over to the desk and opened the laptop. The screen flickered on. Diamond Mountains was still running, the start screen glowing softly, the game's ambient music playing at low volume, those sweeping orchestral notes that always made Sarah think of wide-open spaces and adventures just beginning. And then she felt it. It started as a slight warmth from the screen, which was strange because laptop
What is that
screens
light?
weren't warm in that way.
Wow.
Not in the way that
It's
felt
so
like
bright.
sunlight.
It's so
Then
warm.
there was a pull,
Wow.
gentle at first, like a breeze catching the edge of a
What's
piece
that?
of paper.
No!
Then,
Stop!
stronger.
Help me!
Sarah grabbed the edge of the
Ah!
desk, but her hands slipped,
can't hold
and the
on.
light from
Oh
the
God,
screen
no!
seemed to expand,
No!
filling
Oh,
her
no!
vision
I'm slipping.
entirely.
I'm going in.
And the orchestral music
What is
swelled,
that?
and the world tilted.
What? What is happening? Monica?
And then she was somewhere else entirely. The first thing Sarah noticed was the smell. It was extraordinary. She had never smelled anything like it. It was green and fresh and complex, like every plant that had ever existed had decided to bloom simultaneously in the same place. She breathed it in and felt oddly like crying, though she couldn't have explained why.
Oh no.
The second thing she noticed
I
was
didn't
the
think
sky.
It would be like
It was the
this.
most vivid blue she had ever seen. Not the
Wow.
pale, washed-out blue
Oh
of an
my
overcast
goodness.
morning, but a deep, saturated, joyful blue that looked almost painted. Enormous clouds drifted across it in shapes too perfect to be accidental. And below that sky, stretching in every direction around her, was a world of
I've
breathtaking
never seen
beauty.
anything like
The
it.
trees were massive, their trunks wider than houses, their branches reaching up and outward in great sweeping arcs. Their leaves caught the light and threw it back in 100 different shades. Gold and amber and green, and a deep burgundy that seemed to pulse slightly in the breeze. The ground beneath her feet was covered in a soft moss that gave slightly with each step. And small streams wound between the tree roots, their water so clear she could see the smooth-colored stones at the
can't
bottom
believe how
as if
clear it
through
is.
glass.
It's so
In the
beautiful.
distance, mountains rose sharp and dramatic against the sky, their peaks dusted with something that sparkled. Not snow exactly, but something more brilliant. Diamond Mountains. She was
Wow.
actually
is
inside
incredible.
Diamond Mountains.
I must be dreaming. Ow! Not a dream.
A new face in the kingdom of life. Sarah spun around so fast she nearly lost her balance. Standing a few meters away, leaning against one of the great trees with his arms crossed, was a young man who Sarah recognized instantly despite never having seen him as anything other than pixels on a screen. He was tall, dark hair, sharp eyes that seemed to take in everything at once.
Thank you.
His armor was elegant, deep blues and silvers, and at his back was a magnificent golden bow, gleaming and elaborate, nothing like any weapon Sarah had ever seen in real life. He was looking at her with an expression that was equal parts curiosity and amusement.
You look a little lost.
Sarah's mouth opened, closed, opened again.
You're Hector.
I am. And you are?
Sarah. I'm Sarah. I know who you are. I know everything about you. How you can read the trajectory of any object in flight. How your arrows never miss once you've drawn back the string. How you once hit 17 moving targets simultaneously, without even looking.
You've done your research.
I play the game. This is the game. Or it was. But you're real. This is real.
Very real. But you haven't told me why you're here.
The Kingdom of Life doesn't usually receive visitors who arrive the way you did.
So tell me, what brings you here, Sarah?
My sister Monica. She was here first, I think. She disappeared from our world and I think she came here and I need to find her.
Hector's expression shifted slightly. The amusement faded. Something more serious took its place.
When did she arrive?
Last night, maybe? Or, I don't know, time might work differently.
Come, you shouldn't be out here alone, and if your sister arrived before you, we need to find her quickly.
My sister?
He turned and cupped his hands around his mouth, letting out a sharp, clear call that rang through the trees. Within moments, figures appeared through the forest, moving with the ease of people who knew this terrain intimately, stepping over roots and ducking under branches without breaking stride. Sarah recognized them all.
Wow.
Macron
You
in
guys
his
are
heavy
real?
armor with the great shield on his back. His presence somehow making the air around him feel steadier. Leah with her silver quiver and her quick, observant eyes. Others too. Heroes she knew from hours spent reading their lore cards and watching their ability animations. But seeing them
take
here,
the high ground before
like
nightfall.
this,
I saw
was
them heading
something
towards
else
the pass.
entirely.
We need to move now. We have a guest. Her name is Sarah. Her sister arrived in the kingdom before her, and we need to find her.
Welcome to the Kingdom of Life.
It lives up to its name, as you can see. But beauty isn't the only thing it contains. There are darker corners.
Things that would rather you didn't succeed.
Like, what?
Like whatever has your sister. We'll face it together. The light bearers don't leave anyone in the dark.
Sarah looked around at these figures who were and weren't characters she knew.
Do you think
She had
she's
spent
with them?
hours learning
She
their
doesn't look
stats
like an
and their
enemy.
strategies. But this was
I've
something
got it.
entirely different. They were looking at her like she was a person worth helping, like she mattered.
Thank you, all of you.
But he was almost smiling.
Save thanks for when we found her.
They traveled for what felt like hours, though the light never changed in the way Sarah expected it to. The golden quality of the afternoon seemed
This
to
path seems
stretch
clear.
and hold, as if
Watch the
time
trees
moved at a
ahead.
different pace here. She found herself thinking that Monica would have something precise and knowledgeable to say about the mechanics of that. And
I don't
then
understand.
that thought made
Where
her
am
chest
I?
hurt. Because Monica wasn't here.
Out of here.
Monica was somewhere in this world, and Sarah had to find her. She walked beside Hector for much of the journey, and he spoke as they walked, telling her about the Kingdom of Life, its regions and its history, the creatures that lived in its various corners. He had an easy way of explaining things without being
relic must be
condescending,
moved
which
by
Sarah
nightfall.
appreciated. How long has the kingdom existed?
The kingdom has been here longer than anyone can remember. Longer than the heroes. Longer than the Order of Light Bearers.
It existed before all of us. and it will exist after. We're just Manon, temporary custodians, you might say.
That's a humble way to put it for someone who's one of the most powerful figures in it.
Power doesn't mean permanence. Anyone who thinks otherwise has already lost something important.
They passed through a valley where the trees gave way to an open meadow, the grass impossibly green.
Wow.
Small
This is
creatures moving at the edges of
magical.
Sarah's vision. Nothing threatening, just the ordinary life of a world going about its business. Sarah watched a pair of luminous birds arcing over the meadow and thought, almost involuntarily, that it was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. Then the birds scattered, diving into the long grass and disappearing. Everyone stopped. Macron's hand went to his shield. Leah's hand went to her quiver. Hector's posture shifted in a way that was subtle but unmistakable. He became more still, more alert, the kind of stillness that precedes very fast movement.
We have company.
They came out of the tree line on the far side of the meadow. Figures in dark armor, moving in loose formation, carrying weapons that seemed to absorb rather than reflect the light. Sarah had seen these characters in the game, the Shadowbound, servants of something older and darker than anything the kingdom's daylight could touch. In the game, they were challenging enemies. Here, their presence made the air temperature seem to drop by several degrees.
Stay behind me.
I count 8.
The one in the rear isn't committing yet. He's watching.
How does he even see that? The Shadowbound at the front raised their weapons and charged, which was apparently exactly what everyone had been waiting for, because the heroes moved at the same instant. Not chaotically, but with the fluid precision of people who had trained together for a very long time. And then something extraordinary happened. Everything slowed down. Not metaphorically, literally. The charging figures moved through the air like they were pushing through water. Sarah could see individual blades of grass bending slowly under running feet. She could see every expression, every detail, with a clarity that was almost uncomfortable.
What is happening right now?
Bullet timing. It's a technique. You learn to perceive time at a different rate than its passing. It gives you room to choose.
Sarah watched Hector move through the slowed air with impossible grace. He drew an arrow from the case at his hip, golden, like the bow, gleaming with a light that seemed to come from inside the metal rather than reflecting off it. He drew back the string. His eyes moved calmly across the scene, reading it like a page of text, measuring angles and distances in fractions of a second. And then he released. The arrow moved fast, even within the slowed time. A streak of gold cutting across the meadow, and it struck the lead Shadowbound's weapon. Not the figure, but the weapon. And the impact sent reverberations through the entire formation, disrupting their momentum, causing them to stumble over each other in slow, almost beautiful confusion. And then, time snapped back to normal speed. The battle was brief after that. With the formation broken, Macron drove forward with his shield raised, his sheer presence scattering 2 more of the Shadowbound backward. Leah fired with precision, each arrow finding exactly the right point to disrupt rather than destroy. The others moved through the melee with calm efficiency. The figure in the rear tried to dart around the edge of the fight toward Sarah. She saw it coming and froze. But Hector was already turning. He drew and released in one fluid motion. No hesitation. The golden arrow buried itself in the ground directly in front of the approaching figure, close enough that the figure stumbled backward with evident alarm.
That was a warning, bud. The next one won't be. Run!
The figure retreated. The others followed.
Retreat!
Within moments, the meadow was empty again, the luminous birds already beginning to return to the long grass. Sarah let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding.
How did you know where that last one was going?
The same way I know where any object is going. You read the intent before the movement. Everything announces itself. if you know what to look for.
That's either very wise or very alarming. Probably both. He says things like that constantly. We've mostly learned to just accept it.
The battle had shaken Sarah more than she wanted to admit, but there wasn't time to dwell on it.
Hector and Macron exchanged a few words in low voices, and then Macron turned to the group with an expression that suggested the situation had become more complicated.
The presence of the Shadowbound this close to the central paths means something's drawn them here. Something significant.
They don't patrol without reason.
Monica,
Could it be because of Monica?
Possibly. Arrivals from outside the kingdom are rare events. They create disturbances in the kingdom's energy, ripples that various beings can sense and follow.
So they might have found her before we did.
Macron didn't answer, which was its own answer. They moved faster after that. The landscape changed as they went deeper into the kingdom. The trees became older and stranger, their bark almost iridescent, their roots rising above the ground in formations that looked almost architectural. The light that filtered through the canopy shifted from gold to something more silvery, and the sounds around them changed too, becoming richer, more layered.
Be careful,
They were entering the Dream Realm. In Diamond Mountains, the Dream Realm was one of the most complex zones in the game, a place where the rules of the kingdom's ordinary geography loosened, where the landscape could shift and fold in ways that made navigation deeply unreliable. Sarah had never made it this far in the game. She had read about it in the lore texts she collected. But reading about a place and standing inside it were, she was discovering, not even remotely similar experiences. The path beneath their feet became translucent, and Sarah could see the deep dark below it as if she were walking on glass. The sky was no longer blue, but a deep silver purple, and the stars that hung in it didn't stay in one place. They moved slowly, drifting in currents Sarah couldn't feel.
Don't look directly at the horizon. In the Dream Realm, the horizon has a way of looking back.
Sarah kept her eyes on the path. The Dream Realm had its own sounds, a constant low chorus of voices that never quite resolved into words, like hearing a conversation through several walls. Sarah found it oddly soothing, despite how strange it was. It reminded her of falling asleep to the radio. Then she heard something that was neither soothing nor strange. It was a sound like the earth itself clearing its throat. The group stopped. In the center of the Dream Realm's central clearing, something vast moved. Sarah's brain took several seconds to fully process what she was seeing, because it didn't fit any category she had immediate access to. It was enormous, the size of a house, maybe larger. It was the color of deep, murky water. And it was a frog. Not a normal frog. Not even a frog that was merely very large. It was a frog of nightmarish, hallucinatory proportion. Its skin glistening with something that Sarah's instincts told her very strongly not to touch.
Is that what I think it is?
Yes.
And Monica is...
Somewhere on the other side of it. Which means we go through it.
Sarah looked at the huge, poisonous frog. The huge, poisonous frog appeared to look back, its enormous golden eyes reflecting the whole clearing in a single, unblinking gaze.
Right. Okay. We go through it.
Macron briefed them in quiet, efficient terms.
Target the eyes.
The creature's primary attack was its breath, not fire, but a concentrated exhale of toxic vapor that could cover significant ground. His role was to intercept that attack with his shield, which had been reinforced against exactly this kind of assault. Leah's role was to harry the creature's eyes, keeping its attention occupied and disrupted. The others would attack from the flanks. Hector's role was to find the weakest point in the creature's defenses and hit it with something that would matter.
What's my role?
Stay near Macron.
Everyone looked at her.
Watch what happens. Remember it.
It wasn't the heroic role she might have imagined for herself, but she recognized the practical wisdom of it. She didn't have abilities. She didn't have training. She had enthusiasm and a reasonable knowledge of game mechanics, neither of which was sufficient to contribute meaningfully to a fight against something this size. So she stayed near Macron and she watched. The huge poisonous frog opened its mouth. What came out was not a sound, but a weather event. The toxic breath rolled across the clearing in a slow, dense wave. That vivid, poisonous green spreading across the translucent path like something alive.
I hope it doesn't
Macron stepped forward, shield raised, and the wave hit the shield and split around it. Sarah felt the edge of it passing, and it smelled like something ancient and chemical and deeply wrong. Now! Leah moved to the left, firing in rapid sequence, arrows striking near the creature's enormous eyes. The frog's gaze tracked toward her, and in doing so, rotated the weak point on its underbelly slightly to the right, where Hector was already positioned. He had the golden bow drawn, the golden arrow knocked and waiting. He was completely still. The chaos of the battle seemed to not quite reach him. He existed in a kind of quiet center, reading the scene, reading the trajectory of the creature's movement, reading something Sarah couldn't see. The frog shifted, turning more to track Leah. Hector released. The golden arrow crossed the clearing in an instant and struck the creature's underbelly at a precise point. The impact lit up the clearing, not in an explosion, but in a spreading network of golden light that moved through the creature's body like water through sand. Branching, reaching, glowing. The huge, poisonous frog made a sound that Sarah felt more than heard. And then, slowly, with a dignity she hadn't expected from something of its nature, it settled. Not dead in the brutal way of game bosses, but stilled.
It's falling.
The toxic glow around it faded. The green stain on the path gradually cleared. The dream realm was quiet.
That was incredible.
There's a path.
And at the end of it, sitting against one of the dream realm's iridescent trees, with her knees pulled to her chest and her eyes very wide,
Sarah! Monica was on her feet before Sarah even fully registered what she was seeing.
And then they were running toward each other across the clearing, and Monica's arms went around her with a force that nearly knocked Sarah off her feet.
I found you. Are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine. How did you think? How are you here? The laptop. Same way you got here, I think. You disappeared and I went to your room and conned. The pull from the screen. Yes. It happened to me last night. I was sitting there and then suddenly, this. The huge poisonous frog captured you. Right after I arrived. I had no preparation, no abilities, nothing. It was just no. Immediately that. Before I'd even had a chance to understand where I was. That sounds terrifying. It was. Thank you for coming to find me. Of course. I know I'm lie. I know I'm a lot. I know I make it look easy, and I know that's annoying, and I know I don't always know. I don't always think about what it's like to be on the other side of that. I get absorbed in things, and I forget.
Sarah looked at her sister, who was standing in the middle of an impossible dream landscape, looking more uncertain than Sarah had ever seen her, and felt something in her chest relax that she hadn't realized had been tense.
I know. It's okay. It's not entirely okay. I should be better about it. I'm going to be better about it. Okay. Does this mean I get to be better at Diamond Mountains than you? Absolutely not. But I'll teach you properly how to actually get good instead of just button mashing and hoping. I don't button mash. Sarah. Occasionally I button mash.
Hector had come to stand nearby, and now he addressed them both, his voice quiet but certain.
I'm glad you're reunited, but your sister is right about one thing. You discovered something important today.
You're Hector.
I am...
You used bullet timing against the Shadowbound in the meadow.
Your sister told you?
No. I watched. From a distance. The frog couldn't hold me completely, so I could see some of what was happening. I watched you move through that fight together, and I saw how it worked. In the game, I always played solo if I could. I thought it was more efficient. But watching what you all did out there, Sao, that wasn't just efficiency. That was something else.
The bond between those who fight alongside each other. It's not a strategy. It's not a technique. It's a form of strength that has no equal in the kingdom.
She did the hard work. She survived here alone.
You crossed worlds to find her. Don't minimize that.
Sarah didn't know what to say to that, so she said nothing, which was often a good choice.
I think that it's time.
The heroes led them through the dream realm to a place where the path opened into a wide, circular space. And in the center of that space was something that Sarah had no ordinary category for. It was a door, in the sense that it had a clear threshold and a clear sense of passage from one place to another. But it was made entirely of light. A warm gold white that felt, somehow, like morning.
It's open.
Like the first light through a window.
Be careful.
Like waking up and realizing you have more time than you thought.
This will take you back to your world, in the places you usually wake up in.
And we'll remember?
The kingdom of life doesn't take back what it gives you.
Monica was already looking at the portal with the focused expression she got when she was memorizing something she wanted to keep. Then she turned to the assembled heroes, and something happened on her face that Sarah had never seen before. Monica looked genuinely, openly moved.
Thank you, all of you, for looking after my sister, for all of it. Take care of each other. Will you... we won't see you again. Not like this.
You'll see us in the game. That's a real thing too, in its way. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
He reached back and drew something from the case at his side. Not an arrow, something else. Something that gleamed with that same inner light as the golden bow, shaped into a smaller, elegant form.
Oh, it's beautiful!
A miniature golden diamond bow, no larger than Sarah's hand. Every detail of the real thing rendered in perfect jeweled miniature. He held it out to her.
Something to remember the kingdom by.
Thank you, Hector.
Monica reached over and took Sarah's hand, and together, they walked through the portal. Everything normal. Everything exactly as it had always been. She pressed her hands to her face and breathed.
Had it been a dream? The kingdom of life, brilliant and vast.
The dream realm with its strange moving stars. The battle against the huge poisonous frog. Hector handing her something before she stepped through the portal. She sat up. Monica was in the doorway, leaning against the frame with her arms crossed and an expression that was trying very hard to be neutral and not quite managing it.
You dreamed about Diamond Mountains. We were both inside it. The kingdom of life. The huge, poisonous frog. Hector, Macron. They stared at each other. It could have been a shared dream. There are documented cases of siblings having... Monica!
Yes?
Look under my pillow.
Monica went very still. Then, very slowly, she crossed the room and reached under Sarah's pillow. She withdrew the golden diamond bow. It was no larger than a hand. It gleamed with a light that had absolutely no natural source in Sarah's bedroom. Every tiny detail was exact and perfect. The curve of the lens, the complex braiding of the string, the way the gold seemed to contain something beyond just gold. Monica turned it over in her hands, her analytical expression giving way to something quieter.
It's real. It's real.
Monica sat down on the edge of the bed, still holding the miniature bow, looking at it with an expression Sarah had never seen on her face before.
I don't know what this
Not
thing
the
is or what I'm
confident,
supposed to do
competent
with it.
expression of someone who is very good at things. Just
Wow.
wonder,
It's really
pure
doing
and simple.
something.
We were actually there. We were actually there. They sat with that for a moment.
I meant what I said about teaching you properly. How to play. Not just the mechanics, but the canet. The way of seeing it. The way of being in it.
Total immersion. That's my secret. Has always been. When I play, I'm not watching the screen from the outside. I'm inside it. I'm making decisions as if they matter. Because in that moment, they do matter. I should have shared that with you years ago instead of just winning.
You can share it now.
Yes, I can.
Later that morning, after the completely bizarre normalcy of eating
don't know what to
cereal
do.
and getting ready for the day,
Sarah and Monica sat side by side at the desk where they had sat the night before.
You ready for
The
this?
laptops were open,
Oh, I'm
Diamond
ready.
Mountains
Let's do
loaded
this.
on both screens, the sweeping orchestral music
found
playing
it.
softly. But this time, Monica pulled her chair closer to Sarah's
I
and
finally
angled her
beat
screen
it.
slightly so they could both see it.
Yeah. Watch my hands, not the screen. My hands first so you understand the inputs. Then we'll work up to reading the screen the way I read it. Okay, I see. And ask questions. Every time you don't understand something, ask. I should have been better at welcoming questions. You were always good at answering them when I asked. I want you to feel like you can ask without the when. Okay. I'm glad we went together. Even though it was terrifying. Especially because it was terrifying. That's usually how the best things work.
All right. Here, watch this ability sequence Tau. This is how you set up bullet timing without wasting your power gauge.
Outside the window, the morning continued. The ordinary world went about its ordinary business. But in the glow of two laptop screens, in the shared focus of two sisters sitting shoulder to shoulder, something had changed. Not dramatically, not with fanfare, just quietly. The way the most important things usually change. Like light shifting. Like the first warmth of the sun after a long night, the kingdom of life waited, patient and luminous, ready to receive them again whenever they were ready. And somewhere in Sarah's room, tucked safely under her pillow, the golden diamond bow gleamed with its sourceless light. The adventure was
Diamond Mountains,
just
Zone
beginning.
4.
Diamond Mountains, because the best games don't just challenge you, they change you. The kingdom of life awaits. Are you ready?